Well, welcome to the fifth of 9 videos looking at how to plan a traditional project management project. And during this particular video, we're going to look at estimating time. So when you talk about time, there are really two different components of that. You're looking at what's the duration that it's going to take, how much elapsed time measured perhaps in hours, days, weeks that it's going to take to accomplish a particular task, given that that duration has to account for people taking leave and going on vacation and people getting sick and all sorts of other components that are going to interrupt them actually working on it versus the amount of work time. How many hours is this task actually going to take, or days or weeks or months in terms of that calculation? And at the end of the day, you're going to have to estimate both. You're going to have to estimate both duration and labor associated with a particular project. So the duration allows you to build the schedule, whereas the labor allows you to work the budget component, because you're paying typically, in terms of number of billable hours associated with a particular project. All right. The other thing to think about, and this is actually a pretty big idea, and that is you need to be careful that you don't add non-value added processes to a project. And sometimes adding people to a project late in the project will just make the project later. Okay. And Fred Brooks talked about this in his book, The Mythical Man Month. Great book to read, by the way. And look at the task that this slide depicts. So we're just picking up a chair, carrying it to the door, setting the chair down, opening the door, hold it open, pick up the chair, carry it, and then set it in the hallway. And what you see in the graph to the right is the more people you get involved with this project, going from 1 to 2 lends to a reduction in the task duration. But when you add 3 or 4 people, they start getting in each other's way, because it's really a task suited for 2 people. And this goes again to projects, in that if you add people to a project, and especially so if you add them at the end, you induce a communications overhead where you're trying to bring them up to speed of where you are on the project and who's working on what and what the actual requirements are. That will actually slow the project down. And again, you just have to be careful about resource loading versus task duration, and making sure that you have just enough people to do the task, not too few and not too many. All right, there are lots of other causes of variation in duration, different skill levels, unexpected events that go on. You may be more efficient or less efficient at work than you suspected. Miscommunications are always at the heart of lots and lots of different problems, and so you've got to make sure that you've got the feedback loops built within the system so that people can talk back and forth and understand what's going on. There's 6 different methods for estimating task duration. All of these are relatively straightforward. So first of all, you can look at this task and compare it to previous tasks and say, or activities and projects, and say, this task should take this amount of time. So it's just based on a historical perspective. Is another way of looking at this. If you've got the data, you can compare it to historical records and build that. You can bring in some experts and ask them to help you figure out how long this is going to take. The Delphi approach, which we're going to talk about on the next slide, actually does this by bringing in experts and having them work towards consensus. The 3-point technique is similar in that you're getting ratings, and then you have different weights associated with those ratings based on what was the most optimistic, most pessimistic, and what the mean was. And then finally, the wideband Delphi technique is very similar to the Delphi technique, except there's additional communications built in between the team members so that they can further share how they're ranking and rating systems. All right, the first 3 I'm not going to talk about anymore. I think they're pretty straightforward. So let's go into the Delphi technique and see how that works. So what you're doing here is you're doing multiple passes where you're having a group of experts or consultants or team members make estimates on how long a task will take. And the idea is during that first pass, you're going to have a great variance in what those answers are. in terms of the task duration. And then during the second task, you'll start moving towards consensus. And in the third pass, hopefully you'll achieve consensus. So the whole idea is to explain the task and then go through multiple passes where people give their estimate for how long it's going to take and then share why they made those particular estimates. Okay, 3-point technique is going to be similar, except what you're doing is using a mathematical formula where you're looking at the most optimistic, pessimistic, and most likely, whatever your mean is in there, to occur, and then you've got a weighting system associated with doing it. So less communications, but basically the same idea. And then that wideband Delphi is just the same as the Delphi, but again, more communications, more facilitation to make sure that everybody is on board and is communicating effectively between each other why they're reaching decisions on their estimates. All right, these estimates, of course, have a life cycle too. So the basic premise is what's in light blue there. You'll be smarter tomorrow than you are today. The longer you work on a project, the more you're going to know about that particular project and have the ability to estimate better. So you want to refine those estimates over time and make sure that you tighten the range of error, if you will, associated with that estimate. Well, guess what? That brings us to the end of this particular video. This should be our 5th of 9 videos looking at how to plan a traditional project management project. And what we're going to do during the next video is briefly look at other resources and doing estimates against those resources. All right, well, very good. Keep on studying, keep on learning, and I'll see you in the next video.